Last night we saw the announcement of 3.24 Affliction League. It's looking awesome. If you missed the trailer, go check it out. It's on the Path of Exile main page and their YouTube channel. But in today's video, we're going to be going over some of the biggest changes coming in 3.24. So firstly, during the campaign, we're going to see some interesting surprises. They alluded to some of them. We're going to see things like Legion and Ritual during the campaign. There's also apparently a whole lot of more things. They're going to be very interesting and probably quite hard, so builds are going to be challenged. Of course, it is going to be optional, so you don't have to do it. Another great change is that Uber bosses and normal Pinnacle bosses have separate fragments, so you don't have to feel bad using your normal fragments to run normal bosses because those are being separated. But now, how do we get the new fragments? Well, they have added tier 17 maps. This is going to be aspirational content. The jump from tier 16 to tier 17 is going to be a far cry from what it is from tier 15 to tier 16. From what I could see, it looks like it's more going to be like jumping from tier 16 to tier 30. These maps have a whole new pool of modifiers, some really scary stuff in there, and also new tiers of mods. So these mods are going to kind of look as if you had allocated a wandering path on your tree, so much higher rolls of existing mods and then new mods. And then the cherry on top is that you cannot modify these. So if you get a tier 17 map and it has bad mods on it that you cannot run, well, you're out of luck. These tier 17 map bosses are also going to be unique and interesting, and the map layouts are completely new. These unique bosses are going to have special unique drop tables, so certain uniques you can only get from these bosses. Now, how do you get tier 17 maps? From what I understand, it looks like they're just going to drop as normal maps. By having 4 Void Stones in your Atlas, you're going to have about a 2% chance for a tier 16 map to drop as a tier 17. So for every 50 normal tier 16s you get, you're going to get a tier 17. Very cool. This is going to be not easy, so don't go into your league starter thinking, I'm going to farm tier 17s. The mods on these things, terrifying. Another massive change is that Sextants have just been removed from the game, and a lot of this power has been transferred to Scarabs. Scarabs have been completely overhauled. They all now have 5 different variants per Scarab type, and each one, instead of just linearly progressing on what the previous tier did, instead what it does is something a bit different. So it might provide different rewards, it might affect the league mechanic in a different way. So Scarabs are now going to be really useful for very precisely fine-tuning the exact strategy you want to do. And Scarabs, you're going to be finding them a lot in Betrayal now. Also, they've added a Veiled Scarab, which is essentially just like a little random Scarab. These are going to replace Sextants. So in Standard, all your Sextants are going to turn into Veiled Scarabs. I think you can right-click them and you get a random Scarab. You can also get these from Sanctum. But Betrayal, I'm going to be farming Betrayal this league, not only to get those Veiled Orbs, a Devouring Diadem, but now also Scarabs. Maven's Invitations, also just out of the game. Once you've killed the 4 bosses, just speak to Kirak, he'll give you the invitation. It's a bit of a nerf to boss rush strategies because invitations could be very high value, but the quality of life that this provides is just well worth it. You can now also exchange certain fragments, like the Uber Elder fragments, with the Hoarder Crafting Station. So way less rubbish there with getting unlucky, especially in SSF. One of the biggest changes we've seen is that you can now have multiple Atlas trees, which you can easily swap between from your map device. But if you say want to run one strategy, you can have a completely separate tree for that. And then when you go over to your map device, you just click the one you want. You no longer have to respec your whole tree. So brilliant change there. They've also added a ton of new nodes, making it very easy to access the exact content you want. A lot of these nodes have been buffed quite significantly to have a chance for that content to spawn in your map around, I've seen maybe like 40 to 60% in a single wheel, for example, to have Jun to appear in your map. Also, you can have multiple masters in a single map. They've also removed a whole lot of different keystones, so 7th Gate, Growing Hordes, All Hands, Stream of Consciousness, Grand Design, Wandering Path, these have been removed. Big change, however, they have added some cool new ones, and as a bonus, Kirak now offers all league content types on the map device. Obviously, you will have to unlock them, but it will be as if you had the 7th Gate allocated. Another change, white map essences. This has been a bit nerfed. Screaming is the highest tier of essence you can find in white maps, whereas Shrieking is the highest tier you can get in yellow and red. They've also removed or changed some of the notables on the tree. The one that grants +1 tier, that's been changed to now at least grant at least one of the highest tier of possible essences in the map. Also, they've removed the duplication essence, so essences are going to be a lot more scarce this league. Might be a good idea to farm them. Another really big change and a kind of a throwaway line in the patch notes, map sub areas no longer have +1 to area level. So this means that, let's say you're in a map and then you find a Vaal side area. That Vaal side area would be +1 level. So if you're in a tier 16, that'll be an area level 83. If you go into Vaal side area from there, it would be area level 84. However, more important is that Abyssal Depths. This was a primary source for item level 86 Stygian Visors, which you need to roll certain mods on your belts like tier 1 elemental damage with attacks. I'm not sure if they have changed the +3 level of Abyssal Depths. I suspect that item level 86 Stygian Visors might be a little bit harder to come by. The ramifications of this slightly need to think about it a bit, but yeah. Next, let's go over some of the skills. A lot of the underused transfigured gems received big damage buffs, just numerical things primarily across the board. Ball lining of static no longer works with totems. This feels really rude. Sorry, Tati. Also, Archmage does not work with orb skills. This was one of the weirdest, most, I feel, unnecessary changes that we've seen. Poor Subtractum. Dude has been working on this build and uploading his progress for the last couple of weeks. I was really excited to see an Archmage build as a league starter for the first time in years, and then they just killed it. Like, a lot of times people say they killed the build, when in fact they mean they just numerically nerfed it. This, they killed it. It does not work anymore with Archmage. So, ball lining of static, I don't know, man. Bit weird. Next, Kinetic Bolt of Fragmentation, very popular last league. This was nerfed very heavily. I don't know the exact percentages, but wow, rip. Just like nerf, 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 nerf. Penance Brand of Dissipation similarly was nerfed a lot. I believe it was about 60% less damage overall. However, it's probably still going to be good. It was a very, very much overperforming skill, so I reckon it's going to be fine. Storm Brand of Indecision, also nerfed, also should be alright. Another big change is SRS. The melee attack lost the 38% more damage as it levels, so ouch. Also, Unholy Might has been changed. Now it instead converts 100% of Fizz to Chaos and 25% chance to inflict Withered on hit. This is a pretty big loss to little SRS, at least Poison SRS, so rip that. They have added Old Unholy Might in the game on Extractor Mentis, which is 30% of Fizz as extra Chaos. I don't know if there is a source of that anywhere else though, but yeah. That's a pretty big change. And then Tornado Shot now has an attack speed multiplier of 80% of base, previously 100. Now uses the same bow animation as Puncture. Oh no! Also, it has a mana cost of 10 at gem level 1, previously 8, scaling up to 12 at gem level 20. Quality provides 0 to 40% increased projectile speed instead of 0 to 1 additional secondary projectiles. So, Tornado Shot hit 4 ways. However, that being said, I reckon probably still gonna be okay. It is generally a fairly high investment build, so people who do play this at high investment, they'll be alright. They'll figure something out. Detonate Dead, completely untouched as far as I could see. Weird. This is a hugely overperforming skill for a long time, and it's still incredibly popular, especially with the SSF hardcore or Uber races, like those top tier dudes. I don't know why they didn't touch it. Weird. As for Ascendancies, not a whole lot changed. Guardian, Sentinels of Radiance slightly nerfed. Necromancer slightly buffed, but it loses bone armor. As for the passive tree, a few things on here that are pretty big. So the Energy Shield Mastery, previously Stun Threshold was based on 60% of your Energy Shield instead of life, is now going to be 50% of your Energy Shield is added to your Stun Threshold. This kind of kills the Blood Notch Immutable Force tech that a lot of people are using in 3.23. Might be some ways around it, but that's a big one. One small change that kind of killed something that was a very interesting thing, but possibly overpowered. Also, they've added a new Mine Mastery. Detonate Mines is triggered while you are moving, which replaces the increased area of effect for each mine. This is to compensate for which I have not mentioned yet, the loss of instant cast left click. Again, I have no idea why they made this change. They did explain it on the live stream yesterday a bit, but I still disagree. Revert LMB, I'm on board with that. Wait till you figured it out, then take it away. But for now, yeah, just a yikes. As for uniques, Ralakesh has lost its increased movement speed. Sad, makes it less viable for mapping. Still a super strong item, especially for bosses. As for item changes, flasks have received, let's just say, changes. So Ruby, Sapphire, and Topaz flasks are now the same as they used to be. So instead of granting 20% less damage taken of their respective element, they now grant 5% max res of their respective element and also grant 40 to their resistance, previously 50%. This change, kind of controversial if you are, again, a very top tier player, especially in HC. You're going to feel this change. For some builds, it's amazing. Chieftain, oh man, this is wonderful. For a lot of other builds, not so great. I still don't know how I feel about this. We have so many other sources of max res and so few sources of less damage taken that I kind of wish that instead of making this change, they had maybe just reduced that less damage taken, drop it to like 15%, just so that there's a bit more that we can work with. Also, the Veiled modifier, reduced mana cost of skills that you could unveil on flasks and then craft on flasks. Well, that's not in the game anymore. And guess what? Neither is reduced mana costs on jewels. So kind of like a tornado shot nerf and attack nerf for some builds. I'm going to be playing Lightning Strike and we're using Eldritch Battery, so I don't care. Another big change, Beyond can no longer roll on maps. It just is a modifier that no longer exists. As for monster balance, one big change is that the Arch Nemesis conversions, a lot of the rare ones have been made rarer, and also you can no longer get the Scarab, White Socket, Experience, Gem XP, or Duplication rewards. Those have been removed from the pool of rewards on rare monsters. Pretty sad, especially the XP and Gem XP. I really love those ones. Scarab ones makes sense because they're trying to push Scarabs into the place that they're supposed to be. We were getting too many last league, and having a place where they exist in Betrayal is great. So that's going to be it. If I missed anything, please let me know in the comments below. What were the biggest winners, the biggest losers, your favorite changes, the ones that you disagree with the most? Let me know. Have a wonderful day, everyone. I will be releasing my Lightning Strike League Starter Guide soon. A lot of work to do on it, so keep an eye out. Have a wonderful day. Check you later. Bye.
It's branching, Exile. You're making me nervous.